So the story begins on the battlefield, and their Count Tigra Vermont is the only one standing. He wanted to get out of the battlefield, but his last chance to escape gets away. Then there he saw a group of Zigtad's knight escorting their commander, Eleonora Voltaria, also known as the War Maiden, so Tigra then picks a fight with them, hoping to defeat them and end the war. But Ellen turned the tables on him too easily and took Tigra as a war prisoner. Then the scene shifts to time before the battle begins and Tigra was chilling out with his friend Moshes at the army camp, but there they heard the gossip going around town that the Duke Thenardier is behind this war to profit from it and get the girls and women of the war victims, so Tigra was about to do something, but turns out it was in his dream. And he woke up because Lim had shoved her blade in his mouth to wake him up. She then took Tigra to a shooting range where Ellen wanted to show Tigra's archery skills to others, but he missed 2 shots because the bow he got from the people there was a trash. Yet Ellen still had faith in him, but then an assassin tried to kill Ellen, and the attempt failed because of her wind sword, and the killer was too far away to be captured. So Tigra showcased his skill by shooting that guy's foot from 300 yards away and impressed everyone, especially Ellen. Then afterwards Ellen apologized to him because her men had given him a trashy bow at the shooting range to make him look bad. For that Ellen wanted to give them a death sentence, but Tigra stopped her because it was just a prank they pulled. Then moving on to the main subject. Ellen did this to show off Tigra's skills in public because she had fallen hard for him, not for his appearance but for his bravery and skills on the battlefield, because, in this war, after the Brunish prince died, their entire army fell apart and fled from the battlefield, but only Tigra stood tall all alone there and that impressed Ellen. So she brought back Tigra with her to make him her own. She offers him that he could stay as a count of his land like he used to be, but he'll have to serve her from now on. So Tigra refused because Alsace is his home and would like to stay true to it, but then on another day, Tigra wanted to have a bath, but he was still being left out since he's prisoner. So he leaves to find another spot for his bath, but there he saw a baby dragon and followed it, but he ends up at the place where Ellen was taking a bath. Although she was embarrassed to her core that Tigra saw her naked, because she did want Tigra from heart and soul. But then, late at night, Bertrand risked his life to sneak inside the castle to meet Tigra. He's been serving Tigra for a long time. And Bertrand informed him that son of Duke Thénardier is going to attack Alsace. Hearing this, Tigra wanted to leave right away to save his homeland. But Ellen stopped him because he was going into a suicide battle. She drew her sword to threaten him, but she didn't kill him. Tigra noticed that Ellen wanted him to notice that she wants to help him, so Tigra asked her to lend him her army to save his land from Thénardier. Then suddenly Ellen burst out in laughter because she thought Tigra would become her servant or might have challenged her for a duel, but he did the complete opposite. So Ellen agreed to help him out, but in return she won whole Alsace after and Tigra agreed to it. As for the house of Thénardier, the Duke had sent his foolish son Zion with 2 dragons to attack Alsace, and Tita stayed behind in the hopes that Tigra would return home. She had served in his house as a maid since her childhood, so she was close to him, and their Thénardier's army begins their attack in Alsace, but thanks to Tita and the others. Some peoples had escaped to the forest and the remaining were in the temple, so Zion wanted to enjoy tormenting someone, so his eyes were drawn to Tigra's mansion, so Zion arrives and sees Tita. And then he begins to play around with her. He was about to cross his limits, but then an arrow pierced Zion's hand and there Tigra arrives. Seeing him, Tita jumps down from that balcony to get away from there, and seeing Tigra, she bursts into tears as she was relieved to see that he was alive. But there Tigra caught an arrow and sent it back to that sneak attacker, but his bow was damaged because of it, so Tigra picked up his family bow for the first time. Then Ellen and Tigra marched towards the Thénardier's army for a head-to-head clash, and their Lim brought her troops from a separate route to launch a surprise attack. And Tigra led another group to fight on the other side to give Ellen a way to fight the dragon. Ellen used her wind sword Arafal, and killed the dragon in an instant. But then Zion got the news that another 2,000 soldiers were coming from Zigtad's, and his army only had 600 soldiers left, so he orders his troops to fall back. But Zion didn't realize that 2,000 troops were just a petty trick. It was horses that counted 2,000, not the men, and there Ellen and Tigra gets to his camp after breaking out his front guard. Even so, Zion didn't learn his lesson and challenge Tigra for a duel. Tigra accepts this battle with only bow. He only attacked at one point of Zion's shield and at the end pierced his shield from that breaking point. Tigra wins the duel fair and square, and then Zion tried to run away with his dragon. But there Tigra heard a voice from his bow, saying him to shoot the dragon. Tigra believed his bow and that shoots the arrow. And their aerofall gave out her powers to Tigra, and their combined powers killed Zion in mid-air. They won the battle and Ulysses was saved, but on another day, Tita gets to wake Tigra up but saw that Ellen was putting her sword in Tigra's mouth to just waking him up like Lim did in Zigtad. So Tita started scolding Ellen for pulling off that stunt, then Ellen tells him that she's leaving to meet the king of Zigtad, but she left Lim behind for security. And so on Ellen traveled to the capital of Zigtad to meet the king Victor, and King was angry at Ellen for assisting Ulysses and using the army without his permission, but Sophia, another war maiden, comes forward and easily solves the matter. Ellen was spared because of Sophia, but outside the court Ellen meets her arch-rival Ludmila, a war maiden of ice. They were always at odds with each other. But Sophia always separates them before they begin their catfight. After that Ludmila left, and Sophia tells Ellen that her family is connected with Duke Thénardier. And as a result she will have to go against Ludmila. Ludmila hates Thénardier, but their family ties were formed way before she was born, so she has no other choice. Then after some days Lim leads Tigra to the mansion of Kikimora because Ellen was staying there. She called both of them to inform them about Ludmila. But someone knocked the door, so Lim left to check up. Then Ellen started spewing rainbows for Ludmila, and their Ludmila barged in as she heard it. Ludmila wanted to talk with Tigra because she wanted to warn him about Thénardier. Duke has allies everywhere and wanted to give some insider info to Tigra, but on their way they were attacked by assassins that were sent to kill Tigra. One of them threw a snake at Lim and she got poisoned. For some reason Ellen froze up, so Ludmila stepped in to protect them. But then Tigra showed his quick thinking and saved her by sucking that poison from her upper chest. Tigra did a solid by saving Lim, so Ellen prepared a gift for Tigra. She sets up for him to see Ludmila naked in the bath, so Ludmila knocked the lights out of Tigra. Then Ludmila prepared her army on the border, and it became a disadvantage for Ellen and Tigra to fight against Duke Thénardier, so Ellen lets Tigra to choose their next move. And he decided to strike on Ludmila, but first he sent out an envoy to Ludmila, but she rejected them and advanced with her troops. Then the battle took place in the mountain range and the days passed it, the fight ended. But then on the second day of the battle Ludmila and her army withdrew to the Tundra mountain to her castle on the mountains. It has only a single way in and any attacker would be at a significant disadvantage, yet still Ellen launched the attack at their fort, but they gained no ground and had to fall back. So Tigra comes up with a plan to find another way inside the castle, and to do that he disguised himself as a hunter to wander around the land. There Tigra saw a prey and shot it down. But upon a closer look it was shot down by Ludmila as well. Ludmila didn't believe at first that he shot this prey, so Tigra showed her his skills by a magnificent show. So she apologized to him after seeing this. Both of them gets to the cave to prepare for the food. Tigra introduced himself as Urs and Ludmila believed in him. Ludmila was impressed with Tigra's talent and wanted to hire him, but he rejected her offer because he wanted to be loyal to his hometown. Their little talk made Ludmila open up about her burden from being a war maiden. She talked with him for a while, and before sunset Ludmila left. Then Tigra followed her trails and discovered the second way inside her castle, so he led Ellen and his soldiers there, but Ludmila had tightened the security even on the second way inside. But it was still the best possible way inside, so Ellen charged in without a second thought and failed to make a way, so Tigra had to jump in to save her. He got angry at her for charging in foolishly because he had a nice way to get in. He then asked Arafal to lend him his wind power, and the sword agreed. So Tigra combined his power with Arafal and broke through the castle's defenses. So that brings our part 1 to an end for today, but don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you want more anime recaps, and please like the video if you enjoyed it. So take care.